So you're thinking about buying a laser cutter, but not just any laser cutter. You need a machine that can cut acrylic cleaner than your ex cut you off. Well, the search is over. Meet the Thunder Laser Nova 24, a mid-size CO2 laser that's got industrial level power, light burn compatibility, and enough precision to engrave your logo in a grain of rice. Okay, not really, but almost. In this video, I'm gonna go over what makes this laser a beast. Everything from setup, software, cutting performance, and everything in between. And whether or not it's worth investing money to get yourself one of these. And spoiler alert, I definitely didn't take my wife's parking space to make sure I can fit this in my garage. The Nova 24 is equipped with a 60-watt laser. That means it can cut through acrylic, wood, leather, and engrave an even longer list of items. Not to mention that the 24x16 work area is a sweet spot for projects. Big enough for signs, boxes, and all the Etsy things, but small enough to fit in your garage without making your wife angry that you took up her parking spot. That was such a joke earlier. Not to mention, it also has this removable door here in case you want to pass through longer material. It's also got autofocus, so if you're using this thing a lot, you'll get the same height every single time. It's got motorized Z-axis for effortless up and down adjustments, and it's controlled by a router controller, which, while not flashy by any means, it's super reliable and gets the job done. Think of like the reliable coworker that you ask to cover your shift every time you want to go to Coachella, or fill in for you while you make a laser cutting video. Thanks, Greg. So basically, industrial power, but all in the footprint that's not going to piss off your wife or the HOA. That's pretty mind-blowing, but here's the thing. It's heavy. My wife weighs like 95 pounds, and I needed help from another friend getting this onto the table that it's gonna live on. Of course, me being the person that I am, I had to build my own table for it, right? This is done pretty quick with a few 2x4s, but you can build it out of metal, and I'm sure you can find something that'll support the weight of this online easily as well if you're not a builder. But let's talk about Thunder Laser's setup experience, because I thought this is where it really shined. Not only was the laser included, but so were all the tools that you needed in a toolbox, the chiller, the compressor, and spare parts. Literally everything that you need was available out of the box and ready to go. And while I did have a small issue that occurred during shipping with my chiller, Thunder Laser was able to get me support and help me fix my chiller. They were prompt in responding to my emails right away, and were very helpful with some of the guides that they had online, including a video on how to do it. But the most important thing that you need to know is that everything that you need came in the box, and it wasn't a game of, well, what else do I have to run to the store and buy? The videos and articles that they had on the QR code was such a breeze to set up too. I quickly followed along, and I didn't feel like I needed a PhD or anything to put it together. Honestly, the hardest part about the whole process was venting it to the outside, so my recommendation is to put it up next to a wall that leads straight to the outside, because when it turns on, this vent opens up and lets air out. Now that you know a little bit about my setup experience with the machine, let's talk about build quality, because this is where it really shines, and I know that a lot of machines online look kind of the same. Okay, so I know I bagged on the weight a little bit earlier, and it definitely has "you're gonna need a forklift to move me" vibes, but here's the thing. The weight isn't just for show. This thing is built like a tank, and I sincerely mean that. No, seriously, this thing is made of metal, like all metal. The whole machine feels like it could survive a hurricane and still cut through acrylic like it's nothing. Not only does the chiller hook up where you would think for the water, but it also has power to turn the chiller on when you power the machine on, and it's the same thing for the compressor and the exhaust fan. So when you turn the laser cutter on, you don't have to remember to turn on everything else. And on top of the functionality, it doesn't just feel premium, it looks premium. It looks like I picked up this machine out of some high-tech factory and put it in the back of my garage. It really does, and it's really cool. And the first thing that people ask when they come into my garage is, what does that thing do? Because they're always so curious. The machine is also compatible with light burn, so you can use any of the tutorials that you can find on YouTube that use light burn. It's super easy to set up, and Thunder Laser even sends you a USB dongle with all its presets for its machine. Not only that, but they give you a cheat sheet for every single machine and material combination, so you can get a good baseline of what power to start at for what material. Well, there's tons of reasons to buy a laser cutter and why you may want one. Some people buy them to invest to start a business. They might engrave things like keychains, tumblers, and mementos, cut custom ornaments and DIY kits that you could put together. But since I'm a builder, I thought the best thing would be for customizability for all my builds. I love making custom high-end cutting boards, and adding an engraving to the corner of the cutting board just adds that level of customization that you can't get anywhere else. Alright, so as you can see, it was really easy to add a next level of customization by adding the last name down here to this cutting board. And that's something that you could upsell in your own business, right? There's whole businesses made just engraving other things. So if that's something that you're interested in, this cutting board came out really fast and it looks really nice. and it just takes your product to the next level. And I can go on about all the reasons to get one, but you could start a business with it and selling online or in person, or you're a maker like me that just wants to take the customization of each of the things that you make to the next level. But that's enough about my experience. Let me show you some of the cool things that I've made with this machine so you can get a feel for it yourself. Okay, so just to give you an example, my friend Anessa, who's helping me film this right now, brought over her standing bug, and I was like, why don't we engrave it? So I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like to put her logo on the cup. So the great part about Thunder Laser is they send you this material guide, and you can look up your material, and it gives you suggested settings like speed and power to kind of give you a good starting point. Obviously it depends exactly on your material, but having them figure out most of the guesswork for you is super awesome. All right, so luckily Anessa trusted us with her cup, and we didn't disappoint. Look at that, it came out really good. You can see that the laser had absolutely no trouble etching away the paint that was over this tumbler, and it left her logo on here with all of the information on here. And everything looks really clean. She's really happy about how this came out, and we didn't ruin her tumbler, so that was a good thing. Now, I want to make it clear, I've been doing a lot of engraving in this video because I do personally a lot of engraving, but this thing does also cut. Like I said, it's a very powerful laser. Right here I have about 1/8 of an inch of walnut, and you can see that it cut a hole right through that. I just did McCarthy in there because it's from one of the projects, but yeah, right through that, no problem, super clean. You could use it to build assembly kits or little parts for your project. So let's quickly recap some of the pros and cons of buying a machine like this. It cuts really clean, is really easy to use, and the support that you get from Thunder Laser is amazing. It can easily turn your side hustle or hobby into something that you can do as a business in your own home, which is awesome. And to be frank, it's just really cool to have and make custom gifts for people that they would never expect. The cons are, it's not something that you could just buy on your lunch break. It's definitely something that you want to think about, and it's pretty heavy, and you'll need to have the space for it to be able to vent it outside or buy an appropriate filter. But honestly, if you're thinking about starting a business or you already have one, this thing can easily pay for itself. Think custom gifts, home decor, wedding signs, pet tags, anything that you can think of. The Nova 24 basically turns creativity into a business. And like I mentioned before, if you're a maker and you want to level up the personalization of some of the things that you make, this is also good for you. But because it does take a little bit of learning, and yes, Thunder makes it really easy to learn, this isn't something that you could just rush into and buy on a whim. You really have to think about it. It's not a toy, it's not a gimmick, it's a professional machine with serious cutting power that fits in your garage. Well, while I can't make the decision of whether buying one is right for you, I hope that you enjoyed hearing about my experience and what having the laser has been like for the last 6 months. If you appreciate it, leave a comment, subscribe, and like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.